Okay. All right. This time I'd like to call to order the West Baton Rouge Parish Fire Protection District Number 1 Board of Commissioners special meeting for Thursday, August 28th, 2025. I would like to ask Mr. Brad Waldrop to lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you there, Brad. Council, Commission, log in attendance. We're good. Made the record show we have a quorum. Jumping right into it, item 4, resolutions. A, resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the West Baton Rouge Parish Fire Protection Number 1, changing the fire chief position to part-time. Mr. Jason Manola, you gonna take that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and fire board members. Just want to start off with, you should have a letter in your packets from me to Ms. Deanna Faru in regards to the West Baton Rouge Parish Fire District Number 1 to the Civil Service Board. In this letter, I'm going to be formally asking the Civil Service Board to abolish the full-time fire chief position from the classification plan. As you all know, in 2021, President Berthelot, as appointing authority, put together a committee to address reinstatement of the full-time fire chief position. We had a part-time fire chief at that time, and also serve as the committee was also served as part of the evaluation committee of eligible candidates provided to us from the State Examiner's Office. On May 9th, 2022, at a public service board meeting, President Berthelot, as appointing authority, stated his intention to enter into a consulting agreement with Butch Browning to serve as West Baton Rouge Fire District Number 1 Fire Superintendent on a part-time basis. Butch was never a temporary appointment to the full-time fire chief position because he was part-time, which means he is not part of civil service law. President Berthelot also presented to the council, the full council, you guys, at the next public meeting in regards to what his intentions were with Chief Browning. The full-time fire chief on the classification plan should have been abolished at this time. Should have. But I will tell you this, the only thing that has been budgeted since that time has been a part-time consulting agreement for Butch Browning. So we have not funded a full-time fire chief position any time during that period of time. But regardless of all this, after 18 months of being provided an eligible list of candidates, it expired in 2023. So I don't, as appointing authority, don't even have an active list to even be able to appoint someone as a full-time fire chief, even if you guys chose to budget it at this time. So why do we want to continue with a part-time fire chief? That's questions to ask. A couple things. As all of you know, this was the first year we had our consolidated rating for the entire parish. We actually, being the first year we had a consolidated rating, we're going to be re-rated again this coming year. So it's going to be another re-rating that takes place. We are also about 8 months in to an emergency transport ambulance service. As you guys know that also. We are also fully staffed in our fire services for the first time in a long, long time, based on what has been budgeted by you guys. As we continue to show the consistency in our ambulance service, in our fire rating, et cetera, I feel like when the time comes to fulfill a full-time fire chief, it will be more attractive to potential candidates. Plus, when we develop the qualifications for the fire chief, we're going to have to also tie in this emergency services as a part of the qualifications for this candidate. At the time it becomes financially and operationally feasible for us to reestablish the full-time fire chief, I will bring a formal request to the fire board and to the civil service board to reestablish this position once after it's been abolished. But I just want to bring a couple of things to your attention, which I know you're all very familiar with. Under part-time Butch Browning's leadership of the fire department the last couple of years, you guys know throughout the parish we had ratings of anywhere from between 4 and 6. First consolidated rating we got, we received a rating of a class 3 for parish-wide. That's potential savings to our parish residents on their homeowners insurance. That is critical. That's putting money back into the pockets of our residents. Another question that has been asked, well, what about competitiveness for grants and funding? Well, as you guys also know, we've secured 4 ambulances, funding for a combined law enforcement and fire station in Earlville under Butch's leadership through capital outlay. So that's also been huge. With the ambulance service, just in the first 8 months, it's proved to be financially feasible and provide additional manpower on fire calls, and not to mention save West Baton Rouge taxpayers dollars, because as I mentioned earlier in previous meetings, there are no out-of-pocket expenses for any West Baton Rouge Parish resident to be transported to the hospital, whether they have deductibles or whatever the insurance doesn't cover. So that's additional savings to our West Baton Rouge taxpayers. In closing, I'm going to ask you to abolish the full-time fire chief, and on the next agenda item tonight, I'm going to ask you to allow me to sign an amended part-time fire chief consulting agreement with Butch Browning LLC for $50,000, which is what we're currently have been paying him since 2022. You know, guys, I'm not going to let the actions of a few disrupt progress of what we made here in West Baton Rouge Parish in our fire department. And it's for the citizens of this parish. It's for their benefit, and we will continue to do that. Also with Butch and his leadership in the fire department. So I'll open it up to any questions. I do also want to recognize, I've got Mr. Henry Olin here, who is our attorney for civil service matters. Mr. Olin, if you would like to step up for a second and say a few words.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add to it. I'm Henry Olin. I'm the lawyer for the Civil Service Board, and President Manola talked about abolition of the class of full-time fire chief that's currently in the civil service plan. That's something that typically is done on the request of the appointing authority, and which is you guys and President Manola, and the Civil Service Board is empowered to do that based on that request. The grounds of your request, as I understand it, are the fact that, number one, the position hadn't been funded, a full-time fire chief position, and number two, the class plan that's out there right now is somewhat obsolete, because now you have EMS, you have, a whole lot of changes that President Manola talked about, and so, I think you have grounds for it. I can't say what, I can't predict what the board will do. They got to vote, but based on my experience, and I represent a lot of civil service boards around the state, these are the types of grounds that normally civil service boards look at and do the abolition. And just so the record's straight here, right now, there's no eligibility list, and I've double checked that with the state examiner's office, and so no one's in violation of a law in terms of appointing someone to the existing position, because there's no list to appoint anybody from. So, but that does put you at this crossroads. You would either, you need to ask the Civil Service Board to call for a test or abolish the position. And either way, you're within the law to do it, and my understanding is the Civil Service Board will meet and consider whatever your request is, and so there's a procedure for doing this. When the request to abolish a position is made, it actually changes your class plan, so the Civil Service Board will have to post notice and then 30 days later have a public hearing, and then they can vote on the change to the class plan. So in a nutshell, that's the procedure. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you if I can.
All right, thank you, sir. Y'all good, counsel? Go ahead, Jason.
Just one last comment, and what I'm asking tonight is to abolish the position currently. This is not, I'm not asking to retroactively, which I couldn't do anyway. I'm asking it to let's abolish it as of right now. So just want to.
Gotcha. Okay. What are the wishes of the council? Y'all have any comments you want to make? Okay, so before we get into, I have some motions on the floor. I'm actually going to get Michelle, our clerk, to go ahead and read off the resolution, and then we'll go ahead and take action.
Whereas a quorum of the Board of Commissioners of West Baton Rouge Parish Fire Protection District Number 1 was present on this date for a properly advertised special meeting, Whereas the board finds that it is in the best interest of the district, its employees, citizens, and taxpayers to implement a policy and procedure, and at the request of the appointing authority, Parish President Jason P. Manola, to abolish the fire chief position, currently a full-time position. Now, therefore be it resolved, the BOC wishes to confirm the abolishment of the full-time fire chief position. This change will be effective immediately, and to the extent that prior resolutions or acts of this board conflict with this resolution, those prior resolutions and actions are superseded by this resolution.
All right, thank you, Michelle. So currently I have a motion by Mr. Crowe, second by Mr. Lane, to go ahead and approve this resolution. If there's no other comments amongst the council, I'm opening the machines to vote for approval. That resolution passed. Moving item B, a resolution authorizing the parish president to sign an updated consultant agreement with Browning Associates LLC on behalf of the Fire District Number 1. Go ahead there, Jason.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. This resolution is authorizing again for me to sign the consulting agreement, the only amendment to the current contract that we have, consulting contract. I'm asking to change the consulting agreement that currently says fire superintendent to assistant fire chief, part-time assistant fire chief.
Okay. So before I have some motions on the floor again. Go ahead, Jason.
I think I might have said assistant fire
I
chief.
think you did.
Part-time fire chief. My apologies.
Gotcha. I was going to get you up to clarify that. Okay. With that being said, I'm going to get Michelle to read that resolution also to the council and to the public.
Resolution authorizing the parish president to sign an updated consultant agreement with Browning Associates LLC on behalf of Fire District Number 1. Whereas West Baton Rouge Parish agrees to enter into an updated consultant agreement with Browning and Associates LLC, and whereas in order to proceed with said agreement, West Baton Rouge Parish requires that the legislative body of the local government authorizes its chief executive, the parish president, to execute agreement titled Consultant Agreement Revision 1 by West Baton Rouge Fire District Number 1 and Browning and Associates. Whereas said agreement is attached hereto and identified as Exhibit A, along with the services provided identified as Attachment 1. Now therefore be resolved, the West Baton Rouge Parish Board of Commissioners does hereby authorize Parish President Jason Manola to execute on behalf of the Parish of West Baton Rouge Fire District Number 1 the agreement with Browning and Associates LLC and sign all future documentation regarding the same. Be it further resolved that if any portion or item of this resolution or the application thereof is held invalid, such invalidity shall not affect other provisions, items, or applications of this resolution which can be given effect without invalid provisions, items, or applications, and to this end the provisions of this resolution are hereby declared severable. Be it further resolved that all resolutions or parties thereof in conflict herewith are hereby repealed.
All right, thank you, Michelle. So currently I have a motion by Mr. Lane, second by Ms. Andre. Mr. Lane, to approve?
Yes.
Okay, if there's no other comments amongst the council, I'm going to open the machines and vote for approval. That resolution passed. Meeting is adjourned. Council meeting starts at 5:30.